Hi, my name is Jesslene, and I am doing a video about factoring by grouping. This is one of my favorite ways to factor, and so I have made other videos. There's tons of ways to factor. There's quadratic formula, there's factoring by grouping, there's factoring by putting it into two binomials, there's factoring by division, there's factoring by completing the square, but this one's going to be factoring by grouping. So factoring by grouping, so for example, factoring by grouping is done when there are four terms, okay? So most of the time it's done when there are four terms. And what you do is you group two terms with each other and then the other two terms with each other, and you find the greatest common factor of them. So you group this and you group that one. So the first two terms, you find the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor of 3 and 21 is 3. I can take out a 3. And then the greatest common factor of its variables is y, because they each have a y in common. Okay? And then once I take that out, I am rewriting it. So I took out 3y in each of the terms. So I'm just left with x here, because 3xy divided by 3y is just with x. And then 21 divided by 3 is 7. And then I took out the y. So I have that. And now I'm going to do the same for these terms. I'm going to do here and here. I'm going to see what they have in common. There's an addition sign there, so I'm going to put the addition sign. So I'm going to see what they have in common. 5 and 35 can take out a 5. And then I see what I have left. So if I took out a 5, 5x divided by 5 just leaves me with the x. 35 divided by 5 is a 7. And if you notice, my two binomials are the exact same. That is my goal. If you don't have the two binomials and they aren't the exact same, you can't factor by grouping, or you did it wrong. But that's your exact same. So that is one of your binomials when you factor. It's the one that you have in common. Then your other binomial is made up of the terms on the outside of that. So 3y, and then the operation comes from what's right there, plus 5. So 3y plus 5 is the other binomial. And that is how you factor by grouping. Let's do another one. Let's do another one. Let's switch. So 6mx minus 4m plus 3rx minus 2r. Okay, so I'm going to group these first two, and if you group them and they don't come up with two binomials, then group some more, group two different other ones with each other. I usually look at it and say, oh, these have the most in common because they each can have a 2 and an m, and then these have the most in common because they each have an r. So I'm definitely not going to group 6mx and 3rx because they don't have the same, because this one has an r, and this one doesn't have anything common with this one, 4m and 2r, except for a 2. But you want to group the ones that have the most in common. So 6mx and 4m, I can take out a 2m is my greatest common factor. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, then those m's cancel out, just leaving you with the x. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and then the m divided by m cancel out. And then we are going to take a, on this case, we're going to take just an r out, because 3 and 2 don't have any greatest common factor. So we're just taking an r out. So we're left with the 3x right there, and then minus 2r divided by r is just 2. So they match, means we did something right. That is our first binomial, 3x minus 2. And then our next binomial is 2m plus r. 2m plus r. So there is how you factor by grouping. Let me know if you have any problems.